Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf, which is SUKKAH Mem Vav. We're in the midst of the sugya of brachas. Does one make a bracha every time he uses a sukkah, or is it just one bracha at the beginning of sukkahs and that's it? When one shakes a lulav throughout Yom Tov, is it a bracha every day, or is it just on the first day of sukkahs? Rabbi Bar Chana quoted Rabbi Yehuda, who said that when it comes to sukkah, since it's a mitzvah minat Torah, to sit in that sukkah all throughout 7 days of sukkahs, every use requires a separate bracha, as opposed to lulav, where other than the first day, it's only midrabanan. Only the first day is minat Torah, but beyond that, it's only zeicher lamigdash. We're speaking about outside the Beis Hamikdash, of course. It's only zeicher lamigdash, and therefore there's no bracha recited on atilas lulav, which is merely midrabanan. A mitzvah midrabanan, according to this shita, does not get a bracha. Says the Gemara, the last word on the Memheimud base. Meisive, listen to this kasha from a brayse. So you tell me, when it comes to sukkah, that bracha repeats itself. Every use requires a bracha. When it comes to lulav, it's one bracha on the first day and that's it. The brayse says, ha'oise lulav la'atzmai. When one makes a lulav for himself, he fashions the bundle, he ties it together, he prepares his lulav before sukkahs, for his own personal use. Omer, already at that point, due to his excitement, he will say, Baruch Shechiyanu, V'kimanu v'gyonu al zman hazeh. Until the comes sukkahs, he takes his lulav to be yotze. Then he makes the other bracha. Omer, Baruch Asher kitshanu b'mitzvahs v'tzivanu al tilas lulav. V'afal pi shebirich olav yom rishon, although he already made this bracha on the first day of sukkahs, when he shakes his lulav, chayzer u'mevarach kol shiva. He'll repeat that bracha all throughout the 7 days of sukkahs. Every day gets a new bracha. This is in contrast with Rabbi Yehuda, that only the first day, which is minat Torah, gets a bracha, but not past the first day. That's one kash. Brisa continues regarding sukkah as well. Ha'isa sukkah la'atzmai. When one builds a sukkah for his own personal use before Yom Tov, he already makes that bracha. Omer baruch shechiyanu v'kimanu v'gyonu al zman hazeh nichnas leishavo. And he comes into the sukkah on sukkahs itself. Now he says the other bracha. Omer baruch asher kedeshanu mitzvos v'tzvanu leishe b'sukkah v'kiven shebirach yom rishon. Once he made a bracha on the first day of sukkahs, that's it. Shuv einu mevarach. He no longer makes another bracha. That first bracha exempts the entire Yom Tov, because it's all one continuous zman mitzvah, as opposed to Rabbi Yehuda, who said that every use requires a separate bracha. We have a double kasha. Kasha lulav al lulav. We have a kasha on Rabbi Yehuda's din regarding lulav from the brayse, which tells us that you're meant to make a separate bracha for every day. Kasha sukkah sukkah. We have a kasha regarding sukkah as well. Rabbi Yehuda says every use requires a bracha. Brisa says it's one bracha on the first day. Answers the Gemara. Bishleima lulav alulav lekasha. We can understand, we can answer the kasha regarding lulav. Depends at what point in history we're holding. The Brisa is speaking when the Beis Hamikdash was standing. Every day is a mitzvah minat Torah. We're speaking in the Mikdash, of course, which deserves a bracha. Rabbi Yehuda, on the other hand, was speaking when the Beis Hamikdash was no longer standing. In which case, anything beyond the first day is only zeicher lamigdash and doesn't get a bracha. So that's the teretz on the kasha regarding lulav. Elo sukkah kasha. But what are we going to do with the kasha regarding sukkah? Rabbi Yehuda says sukkah gets a bracha for every use. Brisa says it's a one-time bracha for the entire Yom Tov. Tanai, you're right, indeed it's a machlekes Tanai. This Brisa maintains that it's one bracha for the entire Zman HaMitzvah, for the entire Sukkah, which is one continuous uninterrupted Zman Mitzvah. Whereas Rabbi Yehuda followed another Tana, who held differently. Every use deserves its own bracha. Tanai. This Tanya, we found a similar discussion regarding tefillin. The Gemara is going to connect tefillin to sukkah. Brisa says tefillin, kol zman shemenicha mevarach alein. Rabbi holds every time one puts on his tefillin, even 100 times a day, provided there was a diversion, there was an hesach hadas in between, it's a separate masa. In any case, as many times as you put them on, you make a bracha. Likewise, when it comes to sukkah, Gemara assumes, as many times as you use that sukkah, you will make a bracha. And that's going to be Rabbi Yechon's shita. He's going to follow this shita of Rabbi. You only make one bracha a day on tefillin. Every day gets a bracha, but that bracha encompasses the entire day. And likewise, when it comes to sukkah, the Gemara figures, it's one bracha at the beginning of Yom Tov, which addresses the entire Zman HaMitzvah, the entire 7 days. Says Rashi, 3 lines from the top. So when he puts on his tefillin, then when does he make the bracha? Calls Masha Manichan, as many times as he puts them on. Even if he removes and puts them back on 100 times a day. Every use is a separate bracha. Sukkah as well, although it's one continuous Zman mitzvah, because nights don't interrupt. Nights are also part of the mitzvah of Sukkah. It would appear like one continuous uninterrupted day. Still, you'll still make a bracha over and over as many times as you use it. Just like when you remove and put back on your tefillin, you make a bracha. Every use of sukkah requires a bracha. And that's going to be the shita that Rabbi Yehuda followed. Shita's Rabbi. Chacham say no, one bracha a day. Ela shachris. When you put on your tefillin in the morning, you make a bracha, but that covers the entire day, the entire Zman HaMitzvah. But sukkah nami. Likewise by sukkah. Kivan gechad yomo. Since all 7 days are regarded like one continuous entity, sagi bebracha sh'nam rishon. The bracha on the first day suffices for the entire Zman HaMitzvah, the entire Yom Tov. Okay, so who does the halacha follow? Is it one bracha for the entire Yom Tov? Or is it one bracha per use? Itmar, we learned Abaye Amar Hilchos Sukkah Rabbi. We follow Rabbi. Every time you go into the sukkah, separate bracha. V'Rava Amar Hilchos Sukkah Rabbanon? No, it's one bracha for the entire Zman. Ora Amar Rav Mari, his name was Rav Mari. Bra, he was the son, the Bas Shmuel of Shmuel's daughter. His father was not a person worthy of mentioning, so we ignore him and we refer to him as the son of the daughter of Shmuel. What does he say? Although Rava was siding with the Rabban, Hilchos Rabbanon, that it's one bracha for the entire Zman, but actually I saw differently. The Rav, I observed Rava he himself did not conduct himself according to the halacha that he presented. Apparently he himself really held like Rebbe, that every use requires a bracha. Every time you put on tefillin, a new bracha. What did I see? He got up in the morning, went to tend to his needs. He came out, washed his hands, put on his tefillin and made a bracha. But then again, when he needed to tend to his needs again, came out, washed his hands, and made a bracha again when he put on his tefillin. Apparently, that's really what he held. Ma'aseh Rav. Right? That proves his true opinion. Every use is a new bracha. Vanan nami, the Gemara responds, and therefore we too, Rabbi Avdinu, we follow Rabbi's shita. Every hanachas tefillin is a separate bracha. Every achila in the sukkah throughout Yom Tov is a separate bracha. Umevarchen kol shiva, and indeed we make brachas over and over all throughout the 7 days of Sukkot. Continues the Gemara. Amar Mar Zutra Chazina le Rav Papi. I actually noticed Rav Papi to call Amos the Manach Tefillin. Whenever he put on his tefillin, as many times as it happened, Mevarech, he made a separate bracha. Rabbanon de Be Rav Ashi, the Rabbanon de Beis Medrash Rav Ashi, they went a step further. Kol Amos the Mashmeshi Behu Mevarech. Whenever they just merely touched the tefillin to connect themselves emotionally to the tefillin, you meant to do that. There's a chiv to be mashmish with tefillin, as we do by Pesach Sedech, we find opportunities to tie up our tefillin, to connect to the tefillin, to become mindful and aware of the fact that we're wearing tefillin. And whenever they did that, they made a bracha. Taisa says, evidently they couldn't make loniach tefillin just by touching the tefillin. He says perhaps it was a different type of bracha, lishmoyer es SUKKAH. I saw an other Mefarshim say that perhaps, it was actually brought in the Rush, that when the Gemara says they made a bracha every time they were memashmish, doesn't mean they tapped it. It means when they noticed that it fell out of place and they repositioned it, that deserves a new bracha, and indeed the bracha was loniach because they repositioned it in its proper place. And Rashi brings that indeed that's how we paskin. Every time we put back on our tefillin, as many times a day as it happens, you make another bracha. Likewise by sukkah. Every use of sukkah requires a new bracha. So that's one discussion. We had another discussion as well. Does one make a bracha on a mitzvah d'Rabbanan? For instance, lulav all throughout sukkahs. Beyond the first day, it's only d'Rabbanan. Does that deserve a bracha? So according to the Shita of Rabbi Bar Bachana Amar B'Yechanan, the answer is no. Only the first day, which has been out Torah, but otherwise you don't make a bracha. How could you say Asher Kirchara b'mitzvah v'tzivanu? Hashem commanded us. It's only the Rabbanon, no bracha. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel, yes bracha. Mitzvah lulav kol shiva. All throughout the 7 days, you make a bracha on your lulav, although it's the Rabbanon. Rabbi Shoban Levi Amar, no. Yom Rishon mitzvah lulav. The Ikar mitzvah, the mitzvah in Torah is on the first day. It's universal, wherever you are, in the Mikdash and outside. And that gets a bracha. But past the first day, mitzvah skenim, it was established by the Chachamim. Rabbi Yochanan Zakai, for Zeichel HaMikdash. That doesn't get a bracha. Rabbi Yitzchak Amar, Kol Yom mitzvah skenim. He says every day it's only midrabanan. Says, well, what do you mean? Afilu Yom Rishon, even the first day? How could that be? V'kaimilan, we know that for a fact. Yom Rishon Da'Oraisa, of course the first day is Da'Oraisa. What does he mean? Ema, rephrase what he said. That's not what he meant. Bar Yom Rishon, everything except the first day is midrabanan, but of course the first day is not Torah. If that's what he's trying to say, I know that Rabbi Shimon Levi wasn't he repeating exactly what Rabbi Shimon Levi was saying? What was the point of repeating the same thing? The first day is the Rais, and anything beyond is the Rabbanon. Ema say, V'chein Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Indeed, he wasn't saying his own thing. He was just concurring, yeah. Rabbi Yitzchak as well concurs with Rabbi Shimon Levi, who held that on the first day, which has been Torah, you make a bracha. It's Ivanu, until it's lulav. Whereas beyond the first day, which is only the Rabbanon, it's done without a bracha. However, says the Gemara, V'af Rav, Savar kol shiva mitzvah lulav. Just as Shmuel a minute ago said that you make a bracha on your lulav all throughout Yom Tov, despite the fact that it's Rabbanan, Rav as well held the same opinion. A bracha is said even on a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. For instance, on mitzvah lulav all throughout the 7 days. Where do we see that Rav applies a bracha even to a d'Rabbanan? By Ner Chanukah. Da'am Rabbi Chia bar Ashi amar Rav, Hamadlik Ner Chanukah, Ner Shel Chanukah, Tzarech Levarach. If one lights the Ner Shel Chanukah, it makes a bracha. Apparently, even a mitzvah d'Rabbanan gets a bracha. And likewise, Netilas Lulav, even if it's Zeichel HaMikdash, it comes with a bracha. And indeed, Rashi says that that's the halacha l'maisa. We find that there are many shittas, Rav and Shmuel. We had Rabbi Yehuda, according to one version yesterday, that even the Rabbanans get a bracha. That's how we pass. So the Madlik Ner Shel Chanukah makes a bracha. Rabbi Yirmiyah Amar, even Haroya Ner Shel Chanukah, Tzarech Levarach. If one merely notices a Ner Chanukah, and he knows he's not going to light tonight, he will make a bracha. Which bracha? He can't make a lahadlik. He'll make Sha'as Anisim, Lavasenu, and also Shechayan on the first night. Okay, my Mevarach. What type of brachas do we make on the Ner Chanukah? Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Yom Rishon on the first day, Hamadlik Mevarach Shalish. The one who actually lights the Ner Chanukah makes 3 brachas. Lahadlik Ner Chanukah, Sha'as Anisim, Lavasenu, and Shechayan. Haroya, the one who merely sees the Ner Chanukah, Mevarach Shtayim. You can only make 2. She'asa nisim al v'seinu, shechiyonu. That's on the first night. Bekan ve'elach, past the first night, you drop the shechiyonu. Madlik mevarach shtayim, the one who lights makes two brachas. Lahadlik ner shel Chanukah and she'asa nisim. V'roi mevarach achas. The fellow who had a sighting of a ner Chanukah, who make one bracha she'asa nisim. Umay mevarach. Now, what exactly is he going to say on a mitzvah d'Rabbanan? Baruch asher kitshanu mitzvayse v'tzivanu lahadlik ner Chanukah, right? What do you mean? V'tzivanu? Hashem commanded us? Vechen tzivanu? Hashem commanded us in the Torah to madlik ner Chanukah? It's a d'Rabbanan. How does this work? The answer is Milay Saser. Because in the Torah itself we have a pasuk which tells us, follow the instructions presented by the Rabbanon. Fulfill mitzvahs d'Rabbanan. So the word v'tzivanu does make sense. It's justified. Hashem was mitzvah that we follow the instruct of the Rabbanon. I have another source. Ask your father for instructions. Ask the skenim the chachamim. Follow their instructions. Fulfill their mitzvahs. So indeed, v'tzivanu is appropriate. Perhaps let's take a look at Rashi here. Just about halfway down the Amud in Rashi, beginning with the words Va'af Rav Savar Lokal Shiva. So this is referring to back to Shmuel. Shmuel said that you make a bracha on all 7 days of lulav, although it's the Rabbanan. Rav as well held that way, that all 7 deserve a bracha. Kol Shiva Boy Bracha, says Rashi. L'mitzvah lulav Va'af Agav the Rabbanan. Even though it's the Rabbanan, Boy Bracha. How do we know this? From Ner Chanukah, Amar Rav, Ben Ner Chanukah, the Rabbanan. We compare the two. Chanami, Loishna. Just as Ner Chanukah, which is the Rabbanan, gets a bracha. Lulav past the first day, which is the Rabbanan, also gets a bracha. Damarav, says Rashi, ben Ner Chanukah. Oh, we saw that already. Next Rashi. Ha'aroya Ner Chanukah. So this fellow who actually notices Ner Chanukah, he will make a bracha. Says Rashi, not everybody. Meaning if you're going to light at home, you don't make a bracha for noticing, for observing. It's only for this fellow, Kai al Shalai Hilik Bebeisai. He didn't light at home. Vaybishis Rab, he's walking through the street. Varoya Oisa Bepischa Yisrael, he sees Ner Chanukah. Shemitzvah Nicha Pesach. Tzorach Levorech al the Bach puts in Re'iyah Harishan on his first sighting. There's a special takana that a fellow who's not going to light should make a bracha upon seeing a Ner Chanukah. Now Taisus asks a kasha. Why is it that we don't find this by other mitzvahs? By Netilas Lulav, by Sukkah. If he knows he's not going to be Mekayim, he sees a Lulav. Why doesn't he make a bracha? This gives 3 answers. He says, firstly, Chanukah is different, Mishum Chavivos Hanes. Secondly, many people don't have homes, they're homeless. In which case they won't be able to be Mekayim Ner Chanukah, which is associated with a home. It's placed on Pesach Habayis. So this is different than other mitzvahs which are personal. This is a mitzvah connected with a bayis. Therefore, the Chacham was sensitive to that. Perhaps a person will be homeless, won't have a place to live. He's on the road. So in order to accommodate this fellow, we made a special bracha, a brichas haroya. You see, in Ner Chanukah, you can make a bracha and take part, participate in the mitzvah. Third pshat is because you see this can be applied to other mitzvahs. What's the Roya Sukkah going to say? Elisha Sukkah. He's not sitting in the Sukkah. He merely noticed the Sukkah. So you have to create a new bracha. Chum didn't want to make a new bracha for the Roya. This is different than Chanukah, where you can get away with the same bracha, because we have that bracha she'asa nisim al v'seinu that the Madlik does, and the Roya can say as well. It's not connected to a Masa. He's saying a bracha on the nes. Therefore, says Taisus, since it did not require a new tikkun, a new bracha, it works out very well. And the Roya is meant to say that bracha as well. Continues Rashi. Mevarach shtayim. So this is the Roya. He makes 2 brachas. Shechiyonu. V'sha'asa nisan. Not the third bracha. She'ein ala Roya levarach la'adlik haner. He can't make that bracha. He didn't actually light it. That's the first day. Mikan ve'elach, past the first day, we drop Zman leka. Shechiyonu is off. So we're left with only 2 brachas for the madlik. A madlik mevarach la'adlik ner. V'sha'asa nisan. V'roya sha'asa nisan m'chodei. Only 1 bracha. The question is, v'tzivonu la'adlik ner. V'echen tzivonu. It's only the Rabbanan. How can you say Hashem was mitzavos? The answer is, He was. He told us in advance, Chacham are going to give you takanos and mitzvahs. Follow their orders. Fulfill their mitzvahs. So in a general sense, every D'Rabbanan is really rooted in Minat Torah. And that's why it makes sense to say V'tzivanu. And apparently, the opposing view, the Shita that held that, no, you don't make a bracha V'tzivanu on mitzvahs. The Rabbanan held that, although in a general sense the Torah is telling us to follow the Rabbanan, but it's not relating to this specific Maaseh. You can't say Torah is being mitzavas to be madlik ner Chanukah. It was more of a general instruct. Follow the Rabbanan. But they held you can't go ahead and relate it to this Maaseh specifically and say, I am now lighting ner Chanukah in fulfillment of the tzivi of the Torah. Therefore they held you can't make v'tzivanu on a mitzvah de Rabbanan. That seems to be the point of discussion. Okay, so the Gemara proved from Rav's bracha on Ner Chanukah that apparently you make a bracha on every mitzvah d'Rabbanan, including lulav. Continues the Gemara, Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak masla behedya. He had a clear version of Rav that by lulav itself, Rav said you make a bracha. So it wasn't just a derivation. We concluded from the fact that you make a bracha on Chanukah, we compare it to lulav. No, Rav himself said you make a bracha on lulav all throughout Yom Tov, even on the mitzvah d'Rabbanan. Amar Rav, kol shiva mitzvahs lulav. All throughout 7 days of Yom Tov, the mitzvah of lulav has significance and deserves a bracha. Okay, so let's just summarize the last piece of the Gemara. We discussed the brachas in the case of a mitzvah d'Rabbanan, like lulav and Chanukah. The Gemara's conclusion was, that seems to be the consensus, you do make a bracha. How do you say b'tzivanu? Because Lei Sasser tells you to fulfill mitzvahs d'Rabbanan. Or Sha'alabicha v'yageitcha zekanecha v'yermelach. This is in contrast with the Shitas Rabba Bar Chana. In the name of Rabbi Yehuda, which we discussed yesterday, you do not make a bracha on a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. Regarding the other shaila, is it one mitzvah? Is it one bracha on the entire Zman mitzvah? Speaking about a mitzvah d'oraisa, like tefillin. Is it one bracha for the entire day, or is it a separate bracha for every time he puts them on? Same thing regarding sukkah, which is a mitzvah not Torah. Is it one bracha for the entire Yom Tov, or is it a separate bracha for every use? So we have Shitas Rebbe. It's a separate bracha, one per use, and that seems to be the consensus. Rashi says we pass like that. Whereas the Chachamim held no, it's one bracha, which is mostly the entire day by lulav, by tefillin, and the entire Yom Tov when it comes to sukkah. So it seems that sheet held you make the bracha for the entire zman. So the bracha at the beginning of the zman covers the entire zman, whereas Shitas Rebbe was brachas something that relates to your personal fulfillment of the mitzvahs. So every time you use that sukkah, every time you put on those tefillin, you are relating to the mitzvah. Every masa is a separate masa, requires a separate bracha. Continues the Gemara, Tana Rabban. So let's go back to that brayso that we mentioned. Ha'isa sukkah la'atzmai. One builds himself a sukkah, Omer Baruch Shechiyanu. And this is still before sukkahs. Nichnas leishava, comes in to use it on sukkahs. Omer Baruch Shechiyanu, leishava sukkah. Ha'isa suyo emedes. Let's say the sukkah is already pre-built. How's he going to make his Shechiyanu? If you can somehow enhance something, improve on the construction. Some say it's dafka in the SUKKAH. So you can add something, improve it, be machshir it, mevorech, then he'll make the Shechiyanu right then and there. That is sufficient reason for Shechiyanu. Imla, but otherwise, it's just standing there, perfectly built. There's nothing he can add. When will he make Shechiyanu? When he comes in to use a sukkah, on sukkahs he'll make two brachas. And Shechiyanu. I noticed Rav Kahana, he made all the brachas. Shechiyanu as well, akasa the kedusha on his kais by kiddush, and he left it for that. He didn't do it before Yom Tov when he built his sukkah. And that's what we do today. Taisus makes this point. He says, how can we make the Shechiyanu when we build our sukkah before Yom Tov? How's it going to address the Zman, the new Zman of Yom Tov? So he says, because Sukkah is machmas chag ka'asya. Let's remember, why is this sukkah there? It's related to Yom Tov. It's very closely associated with Yom Tov. So the shechianu, upon constructing your sukkah, relates to the Yom Tov itself and your yotze by saying it at that point. However, lamaisa, we do otherwise. We make our shechianu when we actually use the sukkah on sukkahs. Tan Rabban, we learned in the Brayso. Hoylefan of mitzvah hybrid. Suppose he had many mitzvah opportunities in front of him. Rashi says he has a lulav, he has a sukkah, he has tefillin, he has a tzitzis, many together. Is it one bracha on account of all, or is it a separate bracha per item? Says the Brayso, Omer baruch hashakid shana b'mitzvahs v'tzivanu ala mitzvahs. One size fits all, one bracha for everything. Rabbi Yehuda Omer no, mevorech al kol achas v'achas v'nei atzma. Every mitzvah deserves its special bracha. Amar Rabbi Zeira. V'itema, some say it was Rabbi Chanina bar Papa. Hilchos Rabbi Yehuda. That's how we follow. Every mitzvah, its own bracha. V'amar Rabbi Zeira. V'itema, some say it was Rabbi Chanina bar Papa. My time with Rabbi Yehuda. What's his reason? T'chsev baruch Hashem yom yom. You're meant to be Baruch Hashem every day. The kasha is only by day. Is it only by day that we have Mevarach Hashem, or Balayla ein Mevarach Hashem, but not at night? What does the pasuk mean? Yom yom ella. You know what the pasuk is coming to tell you? B'chol yom v'yom. Every day, tein loy me'ein b'ruchaysav. Your bracha, your tefillah, your bracha samazin should reflect the character of that day. Me'ena ma'ira, something reminiscent of today's event. So when you daven on Shabbos, you mention something about Shabbos. On Yom Tov, Yom Tov. Tein loy me'ein b'ruchaysav. Hachanami here as well, when it comes to a bracha, be specific. B'chol davar v'davar. Tein loy me'ein b'ruchaysav. Your bracha should represent the specific characteristics of this particular mitzvah. In order to be makabel the hashpah of that mitzvah, to internalize the effect, the kedusha of this particular mitzvah, you have to make a bracha on this mitzvah. You can't bundle them all together, just as when it comes to Shabbos and Yom Tov, tefillah, bracha samazim. This bracha coming from Hashem, you want to be makabel that bracha. Tein lo me'ein b'ruchaysav, give him something reminiscent of that hashpah, of that kedusha. Open your heart to that, relate to it, mention it. Then you'll get that particular bracha of that specific day. Here as well, you want to get the effect of this particular mitzvah. Open yourself to this mitzvah. Relate to it with a bracha, and you'll connect to it. V'amar b'zeira v'yitema, some say Rabbi Chanina bar Papa. Boy, come take a look. Shaloi ki midas HaKadosh Baruch Hu, midas basaf adam. Hashem's mode of conduct, so to speak, is so different in the way us human beings conduct ourselves. Midas basaf adam. The laws of nature are as follows. Kli reikam machzik. You have an empty vessel, you can fill it. Mali any machzik, but once it's filled, you can't just fill it and fill it and fill it. It's filled. Avo midas HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but when it comes to Hashem, spirituality is unlimited. Actually, it's the other way around. Mali machzik. If you're filled with desire and longing and yearning, and you do your effort, machzik, it attracts more. Hashem gives you siyata d'shmai and fills you up with more Torah, with more ava, more yirah. Reikin eine machzik. If you're empty and devoid of anything, any spirituality on your end, you don't make your effort. Eine machzik. You won't attract any siyata d'shmai. Shenar v'hoyem shemaya tishma. We learn im shamaya. If you'll listen, if you'll make your hishtadlus tishma, then Hashem will give you more. He'll give you siyata d'shmai. V'imla, but if you just sit dormant, loy tishma, then you won't be zeicha to heavenly assistance. Davar ach, another pshat. Im shamaya b'yashan. If you review everything that you learned in the past, and you try to delve into it and get more out of it, tishma b'chadash, you'll come up with new observations, with new depths, with new understandings. But if you let your heart astray and you just turn away from what you learned, you no longer go back and delve into it, shuvloi tishma, you won't be zeicha to discover new clarities and new understanding, new perspectives within the Torah that you have learned. Continues the Gemara. The Mishnah spoke about the 7th day of Sukkot. So after they used the lulav and the esrog, the adults would go over to the kids, snatch away their lulav, eat up their esrogim. Rashi says their simcha. Now we're going to discuss the concept of muktzah. We learned earlier, just as the sukkah is meant to be set aside for sukkah use, you can't divert it for personal use. The 4 minim as well. The lulav, the esrog, etc. have to be set aside. You can't go and eat them. You can't divert them for personal use. It's muktzah. The question is, up until what point are they muktzah? We have machlekes. Omer Rabbi Yehuda, esrog b'shvi'i asur, the 7th day of Sukkot, which is still the zman mitzvah. The esrog is asur. You can't divert it for personal use. You can't eat it. It's muktzah. It's designated for mitzvah use. B'shmini mutar, but on the 8th day it's mutar. Because beyond the zman mitzvah. You don't shake lulav on Shmini Atzeres. So it's no longer designated for mitzvah, it's no longer muktzah. As opposed to sukkah, afilu b'shmini asura. Even on the 8th day of Shmini Atzeres, when we don't really use that sukkah, it's asur, it's off limits, it's muktzah. The Gemara soon will explain the reason for this. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, the muktzah status of the esrog extends until the end of the zman mitzvah, until the end of the 7th day. But Rish Lakish Amar, no. Esrog afilu b'shvi nami mutar. Even on the 7th day, once you're done using your esrog, it's no longer serving in mitzvah capacity. It's no longer muktzah. What's the rationale behind that machlekes? Rabbi Yehuda says it remains muktzah all throughout that day. Rish Lakish says, once you've finished using it, the muktzah expires. What's the point of discussion? Mar savar, Rish Lakish shows, the mitzvah says katzoy, was set aside for mitzvah use. You've done the mitzvah, the muktzah expires. Umar savar, as Rabbi Yehuda holds, l'kol yom es katzoy, was set aside for the entire day, the entire zman mitzvah. And therefore, the muktzah lingers on until the end of the day. Eis v'Rish Lakish Rabbi Yehuda. Rish Lakish had a kash to Rabbi Yehuda from the Mishnah, which says, Miyat tinaykes shemtens l'ovein. V'oichlan esrogein. The adults go over, snatch away the esrog and eat them on the 7th day on Sukkot. Because they're done the mitzvah. Muktzah expired. My love, should we not assume who adin l'gdolim? Oh, the Mishnah speaks about taking it from the youngsters. Perhaps the same thing applies to adults. That their esrogim are mutar once you're done using them. Why tinaykes dafka? No, the Mishnah is specifically referring to the tinaykes because they're not really chayiv. So once they're done the mitzvah, you can take him and eat him. But typically, by gdolim, perhaps the muktzah status is retained throughout that day, which is still the zman mitzvah. There's another version of this kasha. Rabbi Yehuda was the one who asked Rish Lakish from the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda was the one who says that the muktzah remains throughout the 7th day of Sukkot because that's the zman mitzvah. Rish Lakish says muktzah expires once you finish the mitzvah. So Eisvi Rabbi Yehuda and Rish Lakish. Mishnah says miyad atinoikes shemtin es lovein va'oichan es regein. It's to snatch away the love and esrogim from the children. There's no more muktzah once they're done using them. Davka tinoikes in only the youngsters who have no real mitzvah. This was allowed, but g'dolim loy. But the esrogim, which are used by the adults, their muktzah remains until the end of the day. That's a right to me and a kasha on you. Who adin afilu g'dolim? No, perhaps the same thing would apply to g'dolim. After the mitzvah, the muktzah expires. Why did the Mishnah mention tinaykes? Urcha the milsak tani. Just common practice. That's the way it typically was. They snatched away the children's esrogim. They were gullible kids, so they snatched them away. But halachically speaking, even the esrogim belonging to adults would have the same halacha. Once you're done using it, the muktzah expires. There's a story that Rashi brings, a pretty famous story from the Medrash. So you'll notice it right off to the it's off to the left. Beginning with Vein near it, Amrina Beish's Rabbi, means a Medrash. Maase b'chasad echad. It's right in the middle of this Rashi. Maase b'chasad echad. It was a story about a chassid. Shenosan dinar la'ani. He gave away his dinar, his money, to a poor man. Perhaps it was his last coin. Viknitase ishtay. His wife got on his case. She got him all upset. Ubarach, and he just leave. He left. V'lo yhoyalei b'melis parnis. He had no income. So what did he do? B'shvi shel arava. It was the 7th day of arava, meaning the 7th day of Sukkot. Halach b'shamat esrogin mi'ad tinoikes. He went ahead and he snatched away the esrogin from the youngsters. Getnan taman, as we learned in the Mishnah Sukkah. This fellow knew the Mishnah, which says mi'ad tinoikes shemtin. Okay, so now he had a sack full of esrogin. What's he going to do with it? He hoped somehow try his luck and make some parnas. So he was traveling on a ship, going through some city. It so happens that the king living in that town fell ill, and he needed a esrogim, the mitzvah, those special esrogim that used for mitzvah. He needed a refuah. That was the doctor's prescription. And where the guy going to find esrogim? Who grows esrogim? And they discovered this fellow was carrying no more, no less than esrogim, perfect for the king. He sold it for a hefty price. He came back home loaded with money, and he had what to say for himself. So this is a nice story related to our Mishnah. You see how Hashem provided for this chassid echad. Okay, continues the Gemara. We find something very interesting. On the one hand, Rabbi Yehuda says that the muktzah status of the esrog lasts until the 7th, the end of the 7th, but no more, no past that. Whereas by Sukkah, it continues into the 8th, into Shmini Atzeres. Why? We don't sit in the Sukkah. Shmini Atzeres, this is in Eretz Yisrael, where Shmini Atzeres was certainly out of bounds of mitzvah Sukkah. Let's try to understand Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda, Maishno Sukkah. Why is Sukkah different than Esrog? Maishno Sukkah, that is still considered muktzah even on the 8th day. Or Maishno Esrog, which is only muktzah on the 7th. On the day that you use the Esrog. We're not past that. Amalei Abai responds with a deep concept. Sukkah de chazil ben hashmash. See, Sukkah serves its function even during ben hashmashes, that twilight zone between the 7th and the 8th, which is really a dual entity. It has an aspect of previous day and an aspect of the next day. It's a din of suffix. So since Sukkah is still functioning in its mitzvah capacity during the Zman ben hashmashes, how is that? Very simple. So let's say he encounters a meal at that moment of ben hashmashes. Where does he have to eat it? In the Sukkah. He has to go sin the Sukkah, and have his meal in the Sukkah. And since the Sukkah is serving in this capacity during that Zman ben hashmashes, is katzoil ben hashmashes. If so, it turns out that the Sukkah was designated for mitzvah use during that moment of ben hashmashes. Having known that, you'll understand why it's still going to be muktzah the next day, because since it was muktzah at the first point of the following day, ben hashmashes is considered the onset, the first point of the 8th day, is katzoil kula yoma. It retains its muktzah status. It extends its muktzah status throughout the next day. It's the halach. The status of muktzah is determined by the commencement of that day. If at the first point of Shabbos or Yom Tov something was muktzah, that muktzah remains throughout the day. Here as well, during ben hashmashes, which is considered somewhat the beginning of the 8th day, that muktzah, that sukkah was intended for mitzvah use. If you have to eat a meal, you have to have it in the sukkah. So it was serving in mitzvah capacity at that point. It was set aside for mitzvah. That muktzah status extends throughout the next day, throughout the entire 8th day. Although on the 8th itself, you don't sit in the sukkah. It's irrelevant. The first point of the day determines. Right. As opposed to the esrog, the loy chazi ben hashmashes. Esrog is not chazi. It's not meant to be taken ben hashmashes. There's no chiv to take esrog ben hashmashes. Loy skatzoy ben hashmashes. So it wasn't set aside, wasn't designated for mitzvah use during ben hashmashes. And therefore, loy skatzoy kul yom shmini. Therefore, there's no muktzah status applied to the following day. Now, although the Yom Shvi was man of mitzvahs esrog, and the truth is that ben hashmashes is really a suffix. We have to treat it as though it's really part of the 7th as well. But the big difference here, it's not that there's a chiv to do this mitzvah ben hashmashes. By sukkah, you have to eat in the sukkah now. So ben hashmashes has its own designation, its own chiv. You have to have sukkah now. So ben hashmashes by its own right is serving the mitzvah, and since it was designated during ben hashmashes for mitzvah, since ben hashmashes is considered somewhat the beginning of the next day, the muktzah extends throughout the next day. But when it comes to lulav, esrog, where the mitzvah is to take it on the 7th, true, perhaps ben hashmashes is part of the 7th. You're right. At this point, it's still muktzah because maybe it's still the 7th. It's suffix shvi, but as Tosfos calls it, it's muktzah machmas yom she'avar. it might still be the 7th. That's why you still have to continue observing the muktzah status into Ben Hashmashas because of Yester, because of the 7th. Not because of the fact that it was designated during Ben Hashmashas for Ben Hashmashas use per se. No, not at all. The mitzvah of Lulav was Yester, it was on the 7th. Perhaps now it's still part of the 7th. It's true. So I can't divert the Lulav for personal use until I'm done with Ben Hashmashas. I know I'm out of the woods. I'm completely out of 7. But that's it. It doesn't relate to the next day because it wasn't a designation related to the Ben Hashmashas per se as opposed to Sukkah. With theoretically, if you would have a meal right now during Ben Hashmashas, you have to have it in your Sukkah. So Ben Hashmashas, that Ben Hashmashas period per se, serves a mitzvah purpose. The Sukkah at that point is still serving within a capacity of mitzvah functionality, and therefore the Haktzah, the Muktzah, applies itself to the Ben Hashmashas by its own right, and Ben Hashmashas, since it's considered the initiation of the next day as well, the entire next day has Muktzah. So at this point, we understand why Sukkah is Muktzah even on the 8th. Regarding Lulav and Esther, we have Machlokes. So the Muktzah only applies to the first 7 days. The question is, the entire 7 days? That's Rabbi Yehuda Shita, because it's Zman Mitzvah. Or according to Rish Lakish, up until you finished using it. So once you shook on the 7th day, the Muktzah expires. Here comes the 3rd Shita, which is more Machmer. V'levi Omar, Esrog afilu b'shmini aser. Listen to this. When it comes to Esrog, the Muktzah extends into the 8th day as well, just like by Sukkah. He doesn't hold that I hold shtickle Torah. He says bottom line is, because the Esrog was Muktzah on the 7th, which is the Zman Mitzvah, and the Ben Hashmashas following the 7th, which is the Zman of Suffik. So, on account of the uncertainty, you have to continue the Muktzah into the Ben Hashmashas because it could still be considered part of the 7th. We're not sure. So, since at the end of the day, so to speak, the Ben Hashmashas was still part of the Muktzah arrangement, let's face it, it was Muktzah Ben Hashmashas. And therefore, Ben Hashmashas, which is considered part of the next day as well, gets the Muktzah extended into the next day as well, because the Muktzah on any given day is determined by the onset of that day. And since at the onset of the 8th day was Muktzah, true, it wasn't Muktzah because Ben Hashmashas by its own right allowed you to do the mitzvah. It was only because Ben Hashmashas is perhaps still part of the 7th. That's true. It's Machmas Yom She'avar, but Levi doesn't hold that Svara. Something which is Muktzah Ben Hashmashas, irrelevant of the reason, extends itself into the next day as well. So we have a 3rd Shita here. The Muktzah of Esrog, according to Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rish Lakish, up until the Kiyum Mitzvah on the 7th, but not past that. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the entire 7th, including Ben Hashmashas, but not past that. According to Levi, into the next day as well. Vavu de Shmuel Amar, however, the father of Shmuel maintained Esrog b'Shvi Aser. I agree that on the 7th, the Esrog is Aser, like Rabbi Yehuda, it's still the Zman Mitzvah, but b'Shmini Mut, but not past that. And there was a minor switch of Shitas. Come Vavu de Shmuel, B'Shitze de Levi. Vavu de Shmuel reverted, he retracted. He went over to Levi's Shita. He was machmer that the Lulav as well will be usher into the 8th day, whereas Kam Rab Zera b'Shitze de Vavu de Shmuel. Rab Zera, for some reason, adopted the Shita of Vavu de Shmuel, that no, the Muktzah of the Esrog lasts until the end of the Zman Mitzvah, until the end of the 7th, but not into the 8th. How do we know this? Damar Rab Zera, Esrog shenifsel, even the Esrog which became pasul, so although it's currently no longer in use, asur lo'echel kol shiva, you can't eat it throughout the entire 7 days, because the Muktzah remains throughout the Zman HaMitzvah. Amar Rab Zera, lo likni inish heshana linuk. So we have another halacha named Rab Zera. A person should be careful not to grant b'matana his heshana, meaning his lulav bundle, linuka to a child, a katan, b'yayma tava kam, on the first day of Yom Tov. Why? Because remember, it has to be yours. So don't give it to him before you're yotzei, because he's going to take it and he can't give it back. He doesn't have that ability. My time, and why? The Yenuka of Miknakani. A Yenuka has the ability to acquire. The Rabban has the ability to be kaina. He'll take away your lulav. A Knuya le'makabi no longer has the ability to return it to you. He can't give it away. V'yishtakach will turn out the kanafik. But lulav she'ena shelah, you're going to be yotzei. They try to be yotzei, but it's a lulav which is not yours. It belongs to the child. So first be yotzei and then give it to the child. Another a statement from Rab Zera. V'am Rab Zera, loy lema inishli nuka. A person should never promise a child, I'm going to give you something, and not follow through and not give him. You must make sure to keep your word with children. You might teach him shikra, something untruthful. They learn, they train to speak sheker. You have to be careful to provide a good example with children. Continues the Gemara. There's the same achlokas between Rabbi Yehuda, who maintained that the muktzah extends until the end of the zman, until the end of the seventh, whereas Rish Lakish maintained once you makayim the mitzvah, the muktzah expires. That same discussion was conducted by other Amoraim as well. This was a point of machlokes between Rav and Ravasi. The Itma, as we learned, Hifrish Shiva Esrogin l'Shiva Yom. He set aside 7 Esrogin, 1 per day of Sukkos. Amar Rav, Kol achas v'achas yoytzeb. Rav says, on day 1 you take 1 esrog, yoytzeb the mitzvah, v'oichel alter. Right away, sit down and have it. You can eat it after the mitzvah. This is like Rish Lakish, because the muktzah is a mitzvah-related muktzah. Once the mitzvah was done, the muktzah expires. For Rav Asi, Amar, he had like Rabbi Yehuda. It's totally in the zman mitzvah. Kol achas v'achas. If you want to do this regim, yoytzeba, he's yoytze on any given day. V'oichel machar, but you can only eat it the following day after the zman of that esrog. Esrog was designated for Sunday's use. It's muktzah the entire Sunday. Tomorrow it's no longer muktzah. This is like Rabbi Yehuda. What's the point of machlokes? Yeah, Mar Savas mitzvah says katzoi. Rav held muktzah is directed at the mitzvah. So once the mitzvah is done, the muktzah expires. Even on that very same day. Umar Savas, the other shita holds l'kul yom is katzoi. The muktzah relates to the day, the zman mitzvah. And since today is the zman mitzvah of this particular esrog, the muktzah remains on until the end of the day. Continues the Gemara. What about us and Chutz La'aretz? So up until now we spoke about Eretz Yisrael, where they had clarity as to the the setup of the calendar. We know the lulav was only taken for 7 days, and the next day Shmini Atzeres, a different Yom Tov. What about today by us in Chutz La'aretz, where we keep 2 second days? So at the end of Yom Tov of Sukkot we have 2 days. V'anan d'islan trein yomi. What about us that we have 2 days at the end of Sukkot? What do we do as per muktzah? Says the Gemara, Amar Abai, Shmini Safek Shvi, the 8th day, Shmini Atzeres, which is really a Safek. Day 7, we're not sure. Is it 7 or 8? Asr. So on that day, the lulav remains muktzah. Why? Because technically it's still Zman Mitzvah's lulav. We have to take that possibility into account. We're calling it Shmini Atzeres, but in reality it could still be day 7, which is still within the realm of Mitzvah Lulav. Now, although we don't shake the Lulav on Shmini Atzeres, because we don't want to negate the Yom Tov, but technically speaking, we have to account for the possibility that it still is Zman of Mitzvah Lulav, so it's still Muktzah. So again, it says Abai Shmini, the 8th day Shmini Atzeres, which is really Safek Shvi, Safek day 7, perhaps still within the Zman Mitzvah Lulav. Asr, that lulav is now still muktzah. However, the next day it's mutter. She is Safek Shmi, the 9th day, which is Safek day 8. That's certainly out of bounds, beyond the mitzvah's lulav. Mutter, of course, it's no longer muktzah. In worst case, it's day 8, which is certainly beyond mitzvah's lulav. Sabai is machmer. Mareimar Amar, he's mekel. Afilu Shmini Safek Shvi mutter. Even Shmini Atzeres, which is day 8, Safek Shvi, which is perhaps the day 7, really. And still Zman Mitzvah Lulav, it's mutter, there's no muktzah, because you see, Merem is looking at the practical aspect of things. Bottom line is we don't shake lulav al Shmini Atzeres. Although theoretically it can perhaps still be within the Zman lulav if it's really day 7, but practically we don't use it for lulav. And muktzah is dependent on practicality. It's not set aside for practical use, so it's not muktzah. So Bai looks at the Zman, Merem looks at the practical fulfillment of the mitzvah, which doesn't happen on that day, so it's not muktzah. The surah Avdi Kimarema, in surah they followed Marema Shita. There's no muktzah on the lulav on the 8th day. Rav Shisha b'Darvidi Avid Kabaye, he was machmer. And a Chutz La'aretz, the lulav is still considered muktzah Shmini Atzeres because it might still be within the zman of lulav. Kabaye, and that's how we follow that it's still considered muktzah. Okay, so in summary, let's summarize all the possibilities and the shittas. Let's start with Sukkah, which is relatively straightforward. Sukkah is muktzah throughout the first 6 days, on the 7th day as well, on the 8th day, and in Chutz La'aretz, where the 8th day is a suffix, day 7, the Sukkah is still muktzah. In fact, it's even muktzah on Simchas Torah, because remember, once there's a muktzah on any given day, and theoretically, the Ben Hashmashas following that day would require one to eat in the Sukkah, so in this case it's the night following Shmini Atzeres, the muktzah applies to that Ben Hashmashas by its own right, in which case the next day as well gets the muktzah, because the initiation of that next day was muktzah. So Sukkah will be muktzah all throughout 9 days, whereas by Lulav we have a big machlokes. First 6 days, of course it's muktzah. What about the 7th after Netilas Lulav? But a Lulav which belongs to the Ktanim, all agree it's no longer muktzah. Regarding ones owned by adults, Rabbi Yehuda says, certainly it's muktzah, as long as it's still Zman Netilas Lulav, until the end of that day, including Ben Hashmashas. Shlokish says, after Netila, it wasn't huktzah just for the mitzvah, it was only huktzah for the mitzvah. Mitzvah is over. Muktzah expires. What about on the 8th day itself? We have Shitas Levi, which was a chiddush, that the muktzah of the lulav and the esrog continues into the 8th day, because the bottom line is, it was muktzah during Ben Hashmashas, because it might have still been the 7th day. So once Ben Hashmashas is muktzah, that muktzah continues into the 8th day as well. The other Shitas disagreed with the Levi, because they held that there's no chiv to take the lulav on Ben Hashmashas, and Ben Hashmashas on its own right doesn't have a muktzah, and therefore it doesn't continue into the next day. Regarding the Shmini Atzeres and Chutz La'aretz, which is a suffix, day 7, Abai maintained we have to account for the possibility that it's still Zman Mitzvahs Lulav and it's still Muktzah. Rema says no Muktzah, because practically no Sheikh Lulav on Shmini Atzeres, and therefore Muktzah doesn't apply. Okay, let's do a quick chazara of today's daf. We had 2 discussions, one regarding the bracha on a mitzvah d'Rabbanan, whether it's lulav throughout the 7 days, meaning beyond the first day when it's only Zeichel Mikdash, or Neres Chanukah. One shita maintains, yeah, you make a bracha. B'tzivanu, yeah. Hashem says, Lo yisasar min hadavar. Don't stray, follow the Chacham's instructions. Or the pasuk says, Shal avicha v'yageitcha. Listen to their mitzvahs. We have another shita which says, no bracha on mitzvah d'Rabbanan. You can't say b'tzivanu. It's a general instruct to follow the Rabbanan, but it can't be related to this specific masa. Therefore, it's inappropriate to say b'tzivanu la'adlik ner shel Chanukah. Another discussion regarding repeating the bracha over and over again. For instance, does one make a bracha every time he puts on tefillin, even 100 times a day? Does one make a bracha every time he uses his sukkah? Or do we say it's one bracha throughout the entire zman of Yom Tov, one bracha for the entire day of tefillin? Rabbi says a bracha per use. Rabbanan say one bracha throughout. The halacha is like Rabbi. We make one bracha per use. Likewise, by the mitzvahs Rabbanan, we make mitzvahs even on the Rabbanan. Which brachas do we make on our Chanukah? The Madlik on the first day makes 3 brachas, second day 2 brachas. The Roya on the first day 2 brachas, next day 1 bracha. When does one make a shechiyanu by the sukkah? According to this brayso, you do it when you build a sukkah. The Gemara concludes that Rav Kahana would make it during Kiddush, as we do today. If he has many mitzvahs before him, how many brachas does he make? Tanakama says 1 bracha for everything. Rita says each one deserves a separate specific bracha. Me'ein brachosef. We learned that if a person makes an effort, then Tishma, Hashem grants him Siyat L'Shmaya, and he sees new things and finds new clarity in his learning. What about Huktzil Mitzvahs? So when it comes to a sukkah, straightforward. It's muktzah all throughout 7, 8, 9 days. When it comes to the lulav, first 6 days it's muktzah. What about the 7th? After use, K'tanav is not muktzah. G'doyle Rabbi Yehuda says it's still muktzah until the end of the day. The Zman mitzvah is what makes it muktzah. Shlokish says after use, the muktzah expires. What on the next day? Moshitis holds no muktzah. Whereas Levi held, the muktzah continues into the next day as well. What about a chutztos where the Shmini Atzeres is really a suffix, day 7? Abai says there's muktzah. It might be day 7. Still Zman lulav. Rema says practically you don't use the lulav today. There's no muktzah. We learned in the name of Reb Zera that one is meant to be careful on the first day of Sukkot, not to let go of his lulav and give it to a child before he's yaitze, and to be careful in keeping one's word and promise when interacting with children. Kol tiv to you and atzlacha rabba.